Hi, my name is Noelia, and my research paper was about freedom of speech, and more specifically as to how it is interpreted and challenged in the United States, as we have seen it online, or if you are not the type to be on social media, you have most likely seen it on the news or in the newspaper. When we think about the United States and what it stands for, one of the main things that come to mind is the freedom that we have, that and also barbecue, Starbucks, loud people, and a whole lot more. But more importantly, freedom of speech. It is often described as a basic right that everyone shares equally, and we genuinely praise the United States for giving its people that freedom. However, as I was doing my research and taking a closer look as to how this right is interpreted and experienced by different people, it shows that it is far more complicated than that and has brought our country to divide and fall into polarization. In an article called What the Amendment Really Protects, the idea explained that the First Amendment protects individuals from government interference, not criticism or consequences from others. This distinction is important because it reveals a common misunderstanding that many people believe their research is being restricted when in reality they are facing responses from society rather than limits from the law. And this has caused us to divide between our peers, not trust in the government or law enforcement. This confusion contributes to frustration and division as people begin to feel silenced even when their rights are still legally intact. I personally have seen this in my school with me even. I once had an assignment that required we speak about what we think on certain laws with our peers. I spoke up about what I believed in things that my classmates didn't agree with and vice versa. And just because we could not come to terms that we have different opinions, it became a very heated argument. But since that day, and with what I have seen on social media, my eyes have really opened about how separated we have become and how we hate on others just because we think differently. This misunderstanding becomes even more clearer in the article Americans Love Free Speech Survey Finds Until They Realize Everyone Else Has It Too. This article shows that although people claim to strongly support free speech, they are less accepting when they encounter other opinions they disagree with. This creates a contradiction where individuals support the idea of free speech in theory but struggle with it in practice. I am guilty of this, as we have just seen, and I am sure that most of us possibly are as well. As a result, people themselves play a role in limiting open discussion by rejecting and dismissing opposing views. This tension adds to the polarization as different people feel attacked and unheard even when no actual restriction on speech exists. Ever since that argument I have just spoke about, I looked back many times and realized that even though I speak about having freedom of speech and the right to speak about what comes to mind, I am also a part of this great problem that we are facing in the United States, that we cannot be okay with other people having different opinions, but I promise I have changed a lot since last year. One other thing that I've spoken about as well is immigrants not having the same rights or freedom as people who are citizens. The rights immigrants and freedom of speech highlights this topic very well. While immigrants are legally protected under the First Amendment, this article explains that real life barriers such as fear of deportation, language differences, and social pressures can discourage them from speaking openly. This shows that even though the law may guarantee free speech, the reality can be very different depending on a person's situation. These challenges reveal that freedom of speech is not just about legal rights, but also about whether individuals feel safe and able to use those rights. I have also seen this happen in my personal life. My parents immigrated to the US in hopes to have a better life, and I have just seen that as I grew up, just how much they have been accepted by not being from here. They are scared to speak about anything going on in the government in fear of being taken out of the country. They do not feel safe around law enforcement, and a lot more. Seeing them struggle just pushes me to advocate to actually have the freedom that this country is so known for. But overall, together these articles show that freedom of speech in the United States is shaped not only by the law, but also by social behaviors and individual experiences. Misunderstandings about what the First Amendment protects, combined with people's unwillingness to accept opposing views and the unequal realities faced by groups like immigrants, all contribute to the divided understanding of this right. As a result, the idea that everyone has equal freedom of speech is more complicated than it seems, and it raises important questions about how this right truly functions in society today. After seeing this right, I am sure trying my best to actually advocate and do freedom of speech, like let everyone have freedom of speech, and I hope that you can too. Bye.